Hello there and welcome. In this video I got you 5 great builds for the Mystic culture. I have something for every different path in there, and I also feature them with cultural traits. I don't feature them with racial traits because I think we all have different appetites in builds, and there's so many different things that you can do that I don't think it's worth nailing it down in some variant. At the end of the day, it's up to you to find something that fits to your tastes and to your playstyle, but the cultural traits with the affinity points and such, they do influence things a lot, and that's why I have included them. Now, let's get started with the first build. A lightning build, which I concocted for the attunement school, but after analyzing it, I figured that you could play it with a potential school as well. So, we pick up evocation. Lightning focus and lightning blades makes our troops backline and frontline stronger. Pretty simple thing, gives us what we need though, very high synergy because we start out with a tier 1 battle mage unit, simple as that. Fulmination, very nice all-round spell, you'll use it a lot on any build that has this tome. It's powerful, it's cheap, it powers up your troops. With Evokers and Storm Spirits you have really handy troops that you can utilize for your early game. They're cheap, they're useful, they're powerful. I really like everything in this tome. We are moving over after this one into the Tome of Cryomancy. We are here for Frost Blades mostly. Frost Arrows come in handy later. We have a lot of usage for these. Not when we start out though, so you can delay that a bit. White Witches and Evokers together give you a very nice mid-level Battle Mage roster. You have tier 3 Battle Mages, which are way stronger than that though, so you shouldn't overinvest into that. You gain very nice tools and a skirmisher unit which can freeze troops, but I'm not so much of a big fan of the ice elementals. Also not in this build. School of Cryomancy gives you a much needed research province. There's nothing wrong with that, never ever. Tier 2 comes and we pick up Chaos Tomes now. We pick up Mayhem to debuff the enemy with our battle mages, and we pick up the Gremlin because now we have somebody who can apply the slow via frost arrows, which leads to 20% more damage on our melees. Pretty important, and we can get it off reliably now, and we also make the enemy flankable nicely. So the other tools in here are very self-explanatory. We are mostly here for the Mark of Misfortune and Gremlin in all honesty. Next tome is the Tome of Famists, but I admit this is a filler tome. You can put in whatever you want in here. I put the Tome of Famists in there because it gives you an even stronger version of the Gremlin, and it gives you a really nice spell for your Soothers. Also some pretty nice survivability tools, but this one, take it as a flex pick. I just chose Famists because it's an obnoxiously ever also useful tome. Tier 3, we go on over to Amplification because we want more lightning damage. Amplified Arrows also interacts very nicely with our Skirmishers, so that's fancy. Frenzying Focus is really good for our Battle Mages. Astral Blood is good for everybody. That is a cultural troop. That is the only caveat here. Amplify Minds, really nice, and with the Pylon and the Chain Lightning you have some big hard hitters when it comes down to lightning damage sources. I paired this again up with Chaos in this build with Pandemonium for a blanket rainbow cocktail of different negative status effects. We have a lot of mages running in this build, so this works like a charm. Vessels of Chaos comes in handy to pump up the damage of all the debuffed poor guys. So there's a real nice synergy. And if you want to, the Chaos Eater comes in handy as a very good melee-centric battle mage that fits into the plans of this build also quite excellently. And once that's done, we're going down to the nature tomes into Stormborn, because this is what we were aiming for. With Lightning Storm's help, we can turn the enemy wet, which makes them susceptible to all of our damage types, which is insane. We also can transform our people into Naga, which makes them so much harder to kill, and we also gain Stormbringers, which are handled as the best skirmishers in game currently. And I wouldn't know which one I should rank higher, in all honesty. The rest of the tools here are pretty straightforward, economy tools, and yeah, use them if you have the capabilities to. But honestly, Stormbringer and Naga Transformation and Lightning Storm are the main takeaways to make your gameplay go nuts from here on out. You can now pair that with Calamity to scratch out a little bit more frost damage, some really nice enchantments and whatnot. Feel free to fill in whatever tier 4 tome, though, what you want to play, because your build is technically complete after that. Cultural trait-wise, I played this with Mana Addicts, so we get more per spell cast. Our troops are even harder to kill, and Gifted Casters to make spellcasting cheaper. It's hell of a combo, and I think currently one of the most strongest, if not the strongest, Mystic build that I can feature here. Number 2, Elemental Summoners, because Elementals are fun, Summoners are fun. We are playing this at the beginning of the build with Evocation again. I don't want to talk about the other tools that I've introduced before. They work basically the same, with the exception of the Storm Spirit being here something that we will evolve with, or Arcane Echoes, which is very, very powerful. We can bring up Evokers as well, because, you know, we don't have tier 3 battle mages to begin with, so these guys are extremely valuable for this variant of the build. Tome of Rock comes in as the next one. We go here for solid frontliners, and we are here also for a good portion of Materium, because honestly, Materium and battle mages and summoning work surprisingly well with the newest iteration of the game. So here it's also very straightforward. They transform into big shield units that we will use. Gargoyles, like I said, shock units are really nice for the Mystic culture in my feel, and they are really good, hard to kill. And with Obsidian weapons and Earthkin, we get some nice extra survivability tools, but it's all very straightforward here. Tier 2, I pair this up with Tome of Summoning for a battlefield wild healing of my elementals, abilities to charge up my elementals. Arcane Restoration and Arcane Supercharge are really, really big players, and the Astral Keepers are really nice to heal up your units if things go astray. The rest of the tools in here are not as often used by me, but neither the Astral Serpent nor the Arcane Bond are bad spells. Summoning Well deserves a special mention here, because it has a nice synergy with the provinces that the Mystic culture likes. I pair this one now up next with the Tome of Artificing. 2 reasons. Reason 1, affinity points. We need it for that. If you don't want to play that tome, switch out one of my cultural traits later down the road with a Materium one, and you can skip it and play something else. But you'd be missing out on something. Artificing is much better than it looks on paper, even though we only use really 2 of these spells to its full extent. Artisan Armaments interacts with our elementals, because we're running Shock and Earth. That means we got full extent of critical hits, and that really does a ton. And Siege Magic makes our battle mages a little bit stronger, but also speeds up sieges. If you want to play war-centric, it's a really, really big takeaway. Also, the bolt repeaters are really, really handy. But like I said, if you don't want to feature this tome specifically, switch out 1 cultural trait for 1 Materium point more, and you're good to go. Now, Tier 3 comes, and we obviously go for the, not amplification, Geomancy. That's where we go. So, Geomancy. Brings us elementals as many as we want to. Geomantic Crystallization turns our entire species into elementals, and we gain that tier 4 battle mage that we want, because with the summoners we only have a tier 3 supporter, which is amazing, since these guys hit hard, have a lot of utility, and yeah, never mind corpse eating, let's say. That's local specialty. Anyways, overall, this tome gives you something for everybody, and especially gives you access to all the elementals that you want. That's the biggest thing to me personally. Pair that up with Necromancer, because Leyline Focus is one hell of an enchantment on battle mages, and you'll hit like a truck as long as you don't move the guys, but, well, it is neglectable at some point, because we have a very, very solid front line and such. Yeah, it's really nice. Rock Giants might be not elementals, but still powerful units. And the rest of the spells in here give us nice nuking and terraforming capabilities. Excavated Ley Lines also are really, really cool, because we are one hell of a mana-hungry build. With tier 4, I go into Crucible, because Meteor Projectiles is just amazing nowadays, as it goes for all of the ranged attackers, and the rest of the spells here give us more tools to just roast the enemy. Not more troops, but we don't necessarily need that because we basically have what we want here. After that, I swapped over to amplification / teleportation because I didn't like the other tier 4 tomes that much anymore. Feel free to change that to your own liking. This build thrives on speed, therefore waltz down the enemy as quick as you can. That's one thing that I want to say. Cultural trait wise, I played this with mana channelers to make my summons cheaper, and keepers of knowledge to gain some cheap access to shadow points. Not more to say about that. Feel free to change that. You could put the Materium in, but you'd be much slower researching. It's up to you though. I really don't like it that it's that way, but it is what it is. Now, number 3, the Attunements War. This is a build for the School of Attunement, and it drops down a lot of small critters to overrun the enemy. Tome of Evocation plays here its usual role. We're not so much after the Storm Spirits though. Skip them out, take the other tools here. I don't need to explain more, I did that now often enough. Tome of the Horde is what we're pairing this up with. Mainly because we want Spawnkin, because we want Blaze of the Horde, and Fury of the Horde, and Summon Irregulars. We're picking all of these up to speed up our troop gathering and make the troops that we got hit even harder. After that, Mayhem to debuff the enemy out of given reasons. Gremlins are not so much of a necessity here, but they are useful to make the enemy more vulnerable. But yeah, they don't get the extra bonuses from Hordekin. See them here more as a utility type of unit. And next up, Artificing. We are a very, very melee-centric build, and melee-centric builds, they all love to crit more. And since we are also a swarming build, we want to do a lot of war, so siege magic comes in handy extremely handy as well because of the given reasons. With tier 3, I went for amplification because every build that features any form of battle mages loves this tome, and you also can utilize this with the amplified arrows. You have a Houndmaster, you have a unit that likes that, so there's nothing wrong with that, and you also gain some speed up in form of Amplify Mines. After that, Devastation. You could also go Devastation first, would make also a lot of sense. Devastation for the Flame Burst weapons, so we are on 50% critical hit, exploding enemies. We gain Monstrous Rebirth, which gives us the ability to turn any one of our tier 1 critters, which we can access so easily via Tome of the Horde, into something really nasty and powerful. We also have the Warbreed available as a staple now, and we also have Focus of Devastation, which is really, really powerful. Overall, we use this to gain access to cheap and manifold powerful units that just hatch out of the ones that we get really, really en masse, because the Tome of the Horde can supply. Now, after that, Demon Gate, because Demonkin is a very, very powerful transformation for this one, and due to our focus on sacrificing things, the whole of this tome is extremely powerful. Demon Gates act as teleporters. It's really nice. It also gives you theoretically access to any demon unit that you want. And after that, Pandemonium. I backtracked here again into tier 3 tome because I didn't find the other tier 4 tomes to my liking. Change that as you want, but I find Havoc Magic and Vessels of Chaos is such a bonkers combination for this build that I didn't want to miss out on this, but I didn't want to miss out on Amplification or Devastation either. Now, cultural trait-wise, I played this again with Mana Addicts, because that makes our troops so much harder to kill, and again with any Shadow affinity. Basically, it's just like that. We don't have enough Shadow tomes in here, so we need the Shadow affinity at the end of the day. So number 4, a Necromancy build, because, you know, Necromancers, I love them. I played them with the Summoner's School, and it goes like this. Tome of Necromancy to gain access to all the units that you want. Skeletons, Necromancers, exploding zombies and skeletons, and a nice enchantment for your battle mages. This makes the Necromancers extremely potent in combination with the Mystics. We also gain a research improvement, which doesn't provide knowledge, but it does provide the capabilities to build universities and such in your cities, which is really, really nice. Pair this up with Evocation, and you already have battle mages that do deal a nice amount of damage. The rest of the tools go the same way as they usually do. Evokers are also pretty nice. Skip the Storm Spirits entirely because we are running Undead. Tome of Souls comes as the next one. We gain one of the best frontline undead units available in the game in form of Corrupt Souls. Strong melee, strong ranged option. I love these guys. Bone horrors come in as a reward for killing big stuff, and with soul binders, your battle mages grow more deadly by every little unit enchantment. I pair this up with the Tome of the Doom Herald, which gives us a nice tier 3 battle mage unit, which we originally wouldn't have because summoners don't have, like I said before. And Cruel Weaponry and Joy Siphoners is a really, really nice combination, which allows your battle mages to make the enemy more vulnerable to your melee troops. Nice combo, and Doom Depth Trench gives you some economy on the mana and knowledge side. The other tools here don't need no explanation. Great transformation, obviously with Whiteborn, we have now Lifesteal, which is amazing. We also gain the ability to milk the death of tier 5 units on the enemy side and transform them into bigger units of our own. They're only tier 4, but it doesn't matter, they're basically for free. And Fetid Legion comes in handy. We gain a stability tool, and yeah, it's just pretty obviously what we need to go full on undead. We pair that up with Amplification because obvious reasons, you know the drill already. Just want to point out here, Amplify Minds gives you a nice knowledge income, and the city stability reduction gets soaked entirely by being undead. And the spell that you gain in the Great Transformation Tome does that for you. The rest of the tome works here exactly as it did before, so you know already how this works. Tome of the Reaper comes in as the next one because we want tier 5 units and we want some 6 spells to kill enemies easily, over time that is, and we want to resurrect our own people easily. Mind you that once you are Great Transformation running, we can resurrect everything as we want to with the spell, and so can Necromancers. It's really nice. And after that, you can top it off with Calamity or whatever tickles your fancy. Your build is pretty much complete after Reaper. You can also go for Oblivion. I don't want to say that much more about that because it's pretty straightforward. Cultural trade-wise, I went here for Gifted Casters to make spells cheaper because it's always nice to have that, and Runesmiths to make the many unit enchantments that we need more payable because we have a high unit upkeep due to all the undead that we field. It really helps a lot. And number 5, the last build that I want to feature, is an Eldritch build, which I designed for the School of Potential. In case you don't know, School of Potential, you whack enemies, you build up stacks of dissonance, you cast a spell, and they explode with lightning damage. You also gain overcharged spells and whatnot. I chose this because Eldritch loves to cast spells strategically, and that is why I chose this. Now, onto the tomes. Evocation needs at this point only a glance over the fact that we don't pick up Storm Spirits for this build, or you could if you want to, but the rest of the tools are the same as per usual. Evocation is just one hell of a tome for the Mystic culture, as you see. It's just that much of a fit. We paired this up because we are an Eldritch build with a Tome of the Tentacle. Obviously, and clearly, Constricting Focus is amazing for this build. Battle mages become so much more deadly if you go this way. It's a really wonderful thing. Constrictors are really cool tier 2 spears which just outclass your natural ones, and Conjure Tentacle is one of the best disruptive tools that you can summon in the game, in my humble opinion at least. Tendril Labyrinth are quite nice due to the stability thing. Yeah, this tome is a nice fit for our build. We pair this up with Doom Herald to suck out the enemy's morale with our ranged attacks. Also, we field a lot of cultural troops with this build. Nice synergy there. Cruel Weaponry comes in handy. Skip the Banshee though, and feast on the other tools and the Doom Depth Trench. We don't need the Banshee for this build, in all honesty. We have our own tier 3 battle mage that works better for this build. I paired this one up now with Mayhem. I run Mayhem quite often on the Mystics because Mark of Misfortune is just such a nice thing for a relatively brittle frontline. Here it comes with the same advantages as it did before, and I really like this tome for what it does there. After that, we pick up the Tome of Corruption. The Tome of Corruption gives us one of the best tier 4 units in the game that is able to control the enemy and super hard to kill. The AI is really bad at handling Umbral Mistresses. We also gain some nice capabilities to either copy enemy units, disrupt enemy units. Corruption includes a lot of different nifty tools. You can choose for your own liking if you want to activate Gloomstrider here or the other major transformation later. Gloomstrider is pretty nice as your units can soak statuses super easy with that one. I paired this one now up with the Tome of Amplification because, you know, Frenzying Focus, Amplified Arrows is maybe not the best choice here because we don't have that many arrow wielders, but we have Gremlins and that is already a usage, and the rest of the items in here makes you faster, makes you crit harder, makes you hit harder. Yeah, pretty much of a no-brainer at this point. I like to pair this build up then with Calamity for more punching power, tier 5 troops, and some utilization of the environment. And if you want to, you can top it off with Stormborn. The thing here is, the School of Potential unloads their dissonance with lightning damage. Therefore, you utilize this one extremely nicely. You can also skip the Umbral mutation and go for Naga transformation, and this build will have a nice synergy with that. Or you go for tier 4 Astral instead. I'll leave it up to you. Cultural trait-wise, I played this one with Chosen Uniters and Gifted Casters. The Chosen Uniters are really nice for Eldritch, because Eldritch rulers love good relations with free cities, and it also gives you a nice income boost. Feel free to change that if you want to. I found it extremely helpful, and yeah, up to you. So, I hope these were to your liking. Feel free to leave your comments, add in builds of your own, because I feel like there's more great builds than just 5 on the Mystic Culture. And requests are also very welcome. Leave a like, leave a subscribe, consider supporting the channel financially or subscribing to the YouTube channel membership thingy. Whatever tickles your fancy, methods are down below. Many thanks to all of you who do support the channel, and many thanks for watching this video up until the very end. See you all next time.